Darren Alff here from Bicycle Touring Pro. It's September 9th, 2009. I've been in Europe for 254 days, and this is the last day of my trip. I fly home tomorrow, so I wanted to make a little video and try in a few minutes here just to sum up my trip. It's kind of hard to sum up 9 months of travel in 10 minutes or whatever. But it's been incredible. Like, first of all, I never planned on being here for 9 months, which is the greatest part. I had planned on being in Europe for about 4 or 5 months. My renter back home canceled on me, found a new renter. He wanted to rent my place for 6 months, which allowed me to stay in Europe for an additional length of time. So that was great. Something that was very negative, my renter canceling on me, turned into something positive, which was I got to stay in Europe longer. What else? I started this trip in Switzerland in January, and I was cycling around in ski pants, heavy, boots, ski jackets, and face mask, goggles, beanie, everything, and freezing my butt off. Now I'm in Athens, Greece. 9 months later, it's 100 degrees, incredibly hot. I'm sweaty, wearing shorts that have holes in them, shoes that are falling apart because I've been wearing them for so long and walking so many miles. So that was really interesting to experience both seasons, I guess. Extreme winter, and then the spring, I guess you want to call it, when I was in Austria, which was probably the best riding ever. Was in Austria. The weather was cold, and I was wearing jeans most of the time, but it was perfect because you didn't sweat really, and it was really nice weather. So that was really cool. And then coming down and transitioning into this sort of summer wear, which is what most bicycle travelers seem to kind of move towards, is summer riding. So after experiencing like all three, I guess, seasons, I think that if I were to do another bike tour, I would aim for another spring, early spring, or winter bike tour over summer, actually. Like, I hate being hot and sweaty. Like, cycling through Macedonia was fantastic, but it was 100 degrees, and it was horrible. Like, just sleeping in a tent at night, I was just on a rock like this, and had to sleep outside because it was just so hot that it was uncomfortable. So if I were to do this trip all over again, I would do it exactly the same way, I think. And like, I had a blast riding around Switzerland in the snow in a face mask and goggles. Like, it was incredible, and I want to do it again. So I mean, obviously there were times when it was kind of scary. I thought I was going to lose a toe or something because it was so cold. But I think if I picked the right place at the right time of year, it could be really incredible. So there's that. What else? I mean, one other thing that was unique about this trip is that unlike all my other bike trips in the past, I stayed in various locations for long lengths of time. I was in Switzerland, in Lucerne, Switzerland for 2 months. I was in Vienna, Austria for nearly a month. I was in Orebic, Croatia for a month. I was in Tivat, Montenegro for a month and a half. I was in Skopje, Macedonia for 2 weeks. Strumica, Macedonia for a week. And then finally Athens, Greece for a month and a half. So I kind of use these places as a base while on the trip, and then I would cycle to and from the various locations and around the various locations. What I liked about doing the trip this way is, one, I could work. That was the whole point, is I knew that I would not be able to go on this bike trip for 9 months and not work. I just could not afford to drain my bank account in that way. And I'll talk about that more in a moment. But, so I was able to work by staying in one location. 2, I got to know these places very, very well, like Lucerne or Vienna or Orebic, Croatia. Like, any of these places that I stayed, I could draw you an incredibly detailed map of all of these places just because I got to know them so well by staying there for such a length of time. And that's not something that you get to do normally when you're on a bike trip and you're just passing through a city. You just don't get to know it at that level, which it was really great to kind of get to know these places so well. Um, the downside, I guess, to staying in one of the, a place like this is you don't get to, I really didn't cover that much ground. Like Switzerland to Greece, you could ride that maybe in 2 months or less, if you were just simply riding it straight through. So in 9 months, I could have seen a whole lot more, if I had just been traveling all the time. But I think the way I did it was really good, and I think on my next long bike trip, I will probably do something like this again. I think the only thing I would change is I would stay in places slightly less, like maybe 3 weeks instead of a month or a month and a half. Because when I was in Vienna, I was there for about 3 weeks, and that seemed about just the perfect time. It was like long enough to really get to know the city, but not long enough to like get bored, which is kind of what's been happening when I was in Montenegro. I was bored. Here in Athens, kind of bored. So that's what I would do, is I would just change the time from a month and a half to about 3 weeks if I could. What else? Money. I've gotten like 3 people that have emailed me and said like, oh, your trip's over, did you finally run out of money? And no, that's not why I'm going home. Actually, what's happened on this trip is that I've made more money than I've ever made in my entire life. And I've increased my net worth. The last time I calculated it, I've increased my net worth on this trip over the last 9 months by 70%, which I think is pretty darn incredible. So I'm going home almost twice as wealthy as when I left 9 months ago. So that's pretty incredible, and I want to talk more about kind of like how I did that and stuff, because that's, to me at least, is something I'm really interested in, is like, because there's so many people that want to do these sorts of things, travel, see the world, go after their goals or whatnot, but they feel like they're tied down because of money and obligations and all that sort of stuff. So that's something here in the future, maybe over the next couple months at Bicycle Touring Pro, that I'm going to be talking about, is like how I make money when I'm traveling and how you can make money while you're traveling. Maybe how to get sponsors for your bike tours, how to raise money for charity, how to free yourself up to do the things that you want to do and still make a little money from doing the things that you're passionate about. So yeah, I think that's really cool. It's just the fact that like I can travel for 9 months and come out of this like I'm not returning home with an empty bank account. What else? I think I'm running out of time. It's been incredible. I don't know what else to say. Like, it's hard to sum up a whole trip like this. And I want to do it all over again. I think I definitely know that there will be another bike trip. And I'm thinking, well, I don't want to say when, but I have a bunch of smaller trips planned for when I get home, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm going to plan to spend the winter skiing and snowboarding back home, and I live in a resort town, so I have the ski lifts 5 minutes from my house. I've got a bunch of projects for Bicycle Touring Pro coming up and my various other businesses that I run. So I'm really looking forward to going home, actually. I'm not too sad to say goodbye to Europe. 9 months has given me a good little, a good time over here, and I think by going home, I'll appreciate my next trip that much more. I think it would be very easy to keep going. I'm not like desperate to come home or anything. I would love to continue on to Turkey or Italy or Africa, who knows. But I think going home and staying there for a while will really make me appreciate my next trip once I get out there again. So that's it. I'm Darren Alff from BicycleTouringPro.com. If you've been following me over the last 9 months or however long, thank you so much for all your support. Thank you for following along, and I will speak to you soon. Bye-bye.